Hello, everyone, and welcome to Health for Nigeria podcast and now YouTube. It gives me great pleasure today to invite Dr. Kirthi Lilley. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
I'm
It's
so
so
happy.
good to be here. It's a pleasure meeting you and your audience. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Thank you so much for joining. So, today we're going to talk about Reclaim Your Time with Dr. Kirthi Lilley. And I just want to say Health for Nigeria podcast is a health awareness platform. We provide health education and engaging conversation. This is not in any way or shape or form medical advice. It's just for information, inspiration, and awareness. So if you have any medical concerns or health concerns, please see your healthcare provider. My name is Dr. Ngozi Onuoha. I'm the founder of Health for Nigeria. It gives me great pleasure today to invite Dr. Kirthi Lilley. So I'm going to go over her bio. She is a full-time gastroenterologist and certified life and weight loss coach. She helps busy professionals reclaim their time so they can create extraordinary and joyful lives. She's also an associate program director for GI Fellowship and mom to 3 girls. She's passionate about mental well-being and helping people create lives filled with activities that are meaningful to them and align with their goals and values. Thank you so much. That's amazing. It's such a pleasure to speak to you. I
You
know we've
as
been going
well.
back and forth with scheduling this
Yeah,
podcast, and I'm really glad we could do this today.
absolutely.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so tell the audience a bit more about you, and once you do that, just tell me why time management is important.
Yeah. So, I became interested in time management or this topic for both personal and professional reasons. As you know, I am a full-time physician. So, integrating the work life with my family life after my first child was born during my GI fellowship, that was just my pivot point into trying to figure it out. Really, when I had my first child, I felt like things were just falling apart, both at work because, you know, um, busy schedule with the fellowship training and needing to be at the hospital all the time, as well as having a newborn at home. I just needed a way
I can
to
imagine.
help get things um uh managed better for
Mhm,
myself, for my mental well-being,
mhm.
as well as for my family. um so this is when I found life coaching, really, and that had such a major impact for me in my life. To It provided me a way to understand what my priorities were and what my values are, my beliefs, and really get more efficient with planning my time and my life intentionally. And yeah, and I think this is the case with most people, right? We sort of, the way we learn time management is we hustle our way through
Right.
life, right? It's
Yes.
always like, get more done, get more done. Maybe things will get better once I reach become an attending or become full-time practicing doctor, and then, or once my kids grow up, then I'll have more time. And we just sort of move through life waiting for something better to happen in the future, when really the whole thing that's given to us is our present moment, right?
Right.
Future is never guaranteed. It's
Right.
always the present moment that is. And this becomes like such a big source of stress and overwhelm for people. And when you feel overwhelmed, then nothing gets done. In fact, like, you sort of regress into that a shell, and everything gets put on hold while you know mentally you're busy thinking about all the things you have to do, except nothing is getting done. So my goal as a life coach is to help people get out of that overwhelm, get out of that feeling that constantly they're feeling like, I don't have time. Um, I can't do the things I really want to do in my life. I can't, um, uh, you know, I can't wait for X, Y, and Z project to be done so I can, you know, get back to enjoying things, or um, I wish I had more time. Like all these thoughts are, what creates so much stress for our people. And my job as a coach is to help them with that, help them deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said about creating values. That's important. And also being intentional. And also when you said the moment is now. And I really can understand what you said about having to juggle so many things: a newborn, your career, your family, taking care of yourself. It gets to be a lot. And I think sometimes we just lose ourselves
Yeah.
in just too many things running around and not gaining traction on any of them. So I think this is really great. Um, if you would permit me to share, I remember starting an MBA, and one of the first things, actually, even before the school started, was that we had to track our daily
Yeah.
activities. For the MBA, you were required to spend 10 hours a week. It was an online program.
Mm-hmm.
And I recall thinking, where the heck am I going to get 2 hours, almost 2 hours every day to do
Yeah.
this program? And
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I learned is that you have to write down all your activities and then try to squeeze out some time here and there.
Yeah.
So can you just give us some pointers about, just how people can kind of gain their time management skills?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things, again, like, as you said, I think um one of my favorite books is by Laura Vanderkam, about 168 hours in a week, and how um, oftentimes people think, even if they have full-time jobs and you take account for sleeping 8 hours a day and all that, you still have anywhere from like 50 to 72 hours in of time that you can spend towards things that are really priority for you,
Mhm.
right? So first tip that I have for them would be, you have to be aware of where your time is going, right?
Yes.
um because we live in a time and age where we have so many distractions,
Yes.
right? How often do our phones go off, and we hear a beep and then we get on our phone, check that email while we're trying to get a project done or write up a paper, whatever, right? And then you lose all that time surfing through Facebook or Instagram or whatever people do
Oh,
on the phones.
or
And then,
binge watching TV
yeah, or
lately.
Netflix.
That's the
Yes.
latest.
I love,
The binge
yeah,
watching, the binge watchers.
yeah, we're in a day and age of Netflix, which,
Yes.
which is wonderful. Look,
Hmm.
I love Netflix and there's tons of great shows on there. But
Hmm.
when you don't plan for it and you're using that as an excuse or as a way to relieve stress um, about not having time,
Yes.
because it just feels so uncomfortable, right? When you get overwhelmed, you feel so
Hmm.
uncomfortable. So then you start watching show, which makes you feel good in the moment. And
Yes.
then 8 hours go by and you're like, oh crap, I haven't been able to do anything that I wanted to do today. So that's why I think it's really number one tip is to be aware of where time is happening. When I work with my clients that I coach about time management skills, the first thing they would be doing is just, do a track of their time over 1 week period. Um, so they know exactly how much time each activity is taking. And number two is planning your time. You really have to decide ahead of time because almost often, um, when it gets time to do the activity, we never want to do them,
Yes,
right?
that's true.
And then so much of your energy gets burned out over, okay, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do it? And then you literally spend good 15, 20 minutes going back and forth with yourself that it just exhausts you and you haven't even started doing whatever it is that you planned. I mean, this
Yeah,
happens to me all the time when I try to like do laundry. Um, right?
yeah, I
It's such
think.
a pain point.
Yeah, I think people tend to procrastinate, especially if it's not a pleasant task.
Yeah.
And people tend to push off. I think that's natural, and it's really navigating that procrastination because I
Yeah,
think
exactly. And the one of the ways to do that is to plan it ahead of time.
Mhm,
My general rule is, whatever, planning, usually I like to plan it a week ahead.
mhm,
So I have my schedule ready to go for the
mhm,
following week. And
mhm,
again, if things come up, it gets adjusted ahead of time.
mhm,
Um, But when you make that decision ahead of time, and then when you look at your calendar, and then there's no negotiation with your calendar at
mhm,
that
mhm.
point, right? It's
Right.
on my schedule, it's going to get done
Mhm,
because, I want to build that trust with myself, right? Um, so if it goes on my calendar, then that's non-negotiable at that point, unless there's like a life or that sort of emergency.
mhm,
Um, you get it done. And that's how you sort of create an intentional life
mhm,
where, because life is going to happen to you no matter whether you plan it or not,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
When you don't plan it, then, you get what you get.
mhm,
It goes where it goes. Like,
mhm, mhm,
you can spend hours getting distracted
mhm,
or, watching Netflix,
mhm,
using your phone, social media, whatever that is.
mhm,
Um, or, you can stand back and think about what's really important to you.
mhm,
What are my priorities this week? What is like one or two things that I want to get done,
mhm.
right? That's gonna be, it could be like I do this with the activities, especially when, working on my business as well as my full-time job. I really intentionally like creating time for my kids and activities that I do
Mhm,
with them. So
mhm,
I will plan a couple hours. It doesn't have to be, you know, every single day we have to be doing something amazing, but like one or two activities um over the period of week,
mhm.
whether it's, you know, more recently, my daughters have been really into playing this Just Dance video game,
Mhm.
um, where, there's uh, a song that plays and they have, controllers that tracks their moves. So, just hanging out and playing that with them, because again, that's one of my priorities is
Mhm.
I want to be involved in my kids' activities.
Mhm.
And, setting a time aside for that specifically, that we're going to do something together,
Mhm.
helps me feel satisfied that
Yeah,
I've created that for myself. And that is what living intentionally
yeah.
is. And the only way you can do that is by planning. Otherwise, we're all doing our own things and time passes by and you can just, time is not renewable. You can never get it back once it's gone.
Mhm.
And nothing in the future is ever guaranteed.
Mhm.
So.
So the planning, I think it's great that you do spend time with your kids. I think that is wonderful. And the activity is great because it's physical. So that helps
Yeah.
fitness and mental well-being. And I
Yes.
think the planning that you describe, it requires some elements of self-discipline. Because if you don't have
Yeah.
self, you just can't focus enough to schedule these activities.
Yeah. And again, like, I think when people think of time management, that they have to have like every single minute of their time planned out, and that may not be true, right? I think one ways that I would recommend is that, you just sort of sit back and just say, limit your self constraint is very important, because, again, when we first get into time management, people get overzealous, right? They want to write every single minute of it planned out and put like a million to-dos that may not be important to them, right? But it just
Yeah,
goes so, because I think as a society, we value that being busy means you're somebody important. Um, and when we don't accomplish it, then, we go into this phase of, I just can't do this. This is not for me. This,
yeah,
and then we go into all or nothing. Either everything gets done or nothing gets done.
right, right.
And I think the important thing is just plan for a few things that you really want to accomplish that week. And that's it, right? Everything else will happen exactly the way it's happening. And the 2, 3 things that you want to, big items that you want to um, take care of, decide, ahead of time. These are my priorities for the week. So I'm going to put in, planning for my kids' birthday party, writing this big research paper that I've been meaning to write, like 2 hours. I'm not going to get distracted. I'm going to take exactly this amount of time and get it done. It is, whatever is done, it's done. And then at the end of the week, then you'll feel accomplished, like, hey, these were the big items. And rest of the time that I haven't planned, but I didn't really have any other activities anyways, who
Mhm,
cares, right? You
mhm.
spend it however you want,
Yeah,
but you got these couple of things accomplished, and more over time you can get better and better with that. um I, I think time management, like everything in life, it's a trial and error. Like you
right.
have to see what works for you,
Mhm,
and you have to do that, every week. If you
right.
give up, and then you go to your default, right? You live whatever comes to you, whatever happens to you. But if you truly want to create a life that is meaningful to you, that's filled with activities that you want to do in your life, and help you accomplish the goals you set out for yourself, then you have to do it intentionally, right? Nothing just happens. You
Yes.
have to make it happen. And the first step in that is just, deciding ahead of time and planning it and building that trust that you're going to get it done, whatever you have planned, whether it's one thing or 10 things, and that's the biggest, I think, tips I have um, for people to get started with this.
That was really good. I feel like I was in a coaching session just now. Thank you. I really gained some value. I was just thinking, wow, this is wonderful. I mean, this is exactly the information I need to, because
Yeah.
one is juggling so many things. And so this is
Yeah.
really great. So can you tell me how coaching can help someone trying to reclaim their time?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So again, um, what I want to make a differentiation is with, you can have an amazing time management system, right? There's tons out there um, that you can look through internet, buy whatever, like amazing journals, amazing, apps and all these other things. But if you don't have the mindset to follow through, not a best system in the world can help you, right? And
Mhm.
that's where the coaching comes. And I think oftentimes what happens is like you go and spend a lot of money buying this best system in the world. And then you put it to use one time and it doesn't work because, your mind is not there. You
Right.
still have all the thoughts in your head um, that like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know exactly how to plan my time or, you know, make planning time is just time consuming. Why would I do that? Like all these thoughts that are in the back of your head that prevent you from even making this best system work for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's sort of where coaching comes, because it's really when you get into that, it's really hard for you yourself to see that's what's happening, right? You don't need a whole lot to plan your time. You just like I just use Google Calendar, okay? Nothing
Right.
fancy. Um, but when you don't look at your, what am I thinking that's making me even attempt to do this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or not attempt to do this. And
Right.
that's the part where coaching works, because it
Got
really
it.
helps you clean up your mindset
Got it.
on how you want to tackle this. Because again, things that we find sexy are like spontaneity and all that stuff, and we think our time should be like that too, right?
Right.
And but when we're trying to accomplish a lot of things and where we want to fill our lives with all these goals that we have ourselves, you have to do it intentionally. The way to create more time for yourself is to take that, like, 30, 45 minutes in a, time to
Yes.
create all the space for you for the rest of the week, right? How much, like, how much more value is that 45 minutes in comparison when you can get so much of your hours back for the week ahead when you
Yes.
plan it and when you decide to stick through with it. And then as a coach, if you're having hard time following through or building that relationship where you're honoring what you've put on your schedule, that's where a coach can come and help you. Hey, okay, so what's going on with that particular activity? Where are you stuck? Right? And then we sort of deep dive into it and clean that out.
Sorry, it's like tickle. My
That's
apologies.
okay.
I'm okay. Um, okay, thank you. This was really wonderful. So where
Yes.
can where can people find you? If people are interested in hiring you as a coach, where can
Yeah.
people find you?
Well, they can go to my website. It's www.reveal, REVEAL.
Okay. Okay. All right.
revealyou.coach. I actually have a great PDF that's free on my website that they can get if they go there, on how to get things done and how to stop procrastination. I have like 4 or 5 tips on really how to um, how they can efficiently get like if there's anything major going on, or if they're seeing that they're really procrastinating on how to get things done. I think this has super amount of value um, uh, content in there, so I would encourage all anybody that's interested in making time for themselves to go get this PDF. I also do 30-minute free consultation calls for anybody that's interested. They just have to go to my website and book a free 30-minute discovery session, and we sort of dig into what it is that they're trying to create, and we'll go into how I can help them.
Okay, that's amazing. So in case there was an issue with the recording, you can reach Dr. Kirthi Lilley at www.revealyou.coach.
Yes.
And you're also on Instagram at Reveal You Life Coaching. And I'm going to put those links in the description in the YouTube. It's going to be in there in the podcast. It's going to be there as well. I've really enjoyed the session. So before we head out, can you just
Yes.
share one pearl with the audience, one pearl of wisdom with the audience?
There's so many pearls, right?
I know, just
Um,
one, just one.
I think one of the biggest things, I think a take home point is that there is always time. I think we really need to get out of that mindset that I don't have time. The more you think that, the more you're going to prove yourself true. So there is always time. Time is always a choice, and we have to make time for what matters most. And planning it, focusing, and really building that trust with ourselves can really help us build the life that we want and in the time that we have.
This was amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Kirthi. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed
It
it.
was so pleasure talking to you. I love being on your podcast.
Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.